thanks for joining us on this program, Investing in Women and Girls. My name is Juliet Mtale. Now, this program delves into the many success stories of some of the women in this country, women in Zambia. Now, remember, we're also heading towards the commemoration of the International Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March every year. And this year's theme is dubbed Invest in Women and Girls, Accelerate Progress. On the program today, we have Madam Mono Munkombwe, who is the Irrigation Development Support Project Senior Safeguard Specialist and Scheme Manager for Musakashi Irrigation Scheme in Mufulira. Madam Munkombwe, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Juliet. You can call me Mono.
Wow. Now we're discussing women's involvement in smart and irrigated farming. Just kindly give us an overview of Musakashi irrigation scheme.
Thank you. Good question, but could you allow me to start from another perspective? So the Irrigation Development Project has 3 sites that are called core sites. These are sites where irrigation infrastructure has been developed for people to be able to produce all year round. So we've got a site in Southern Province called Lusitu, another site in Chisamba called the Momboshi Irrigation Scheme, that's the biggest of them all. And then we have the Musakashi Irrigation Scheme under Mufulira District on the Copper Belt. And that is where I'm the scheme manager. So basically, the Musakashi Irrigation Scheme is on a piece of land that's about 1,200 hectares with about 462 households. So what has been done there in terms of irrigation infrastructure? There is one complete pumping station and another pumping station that's under construction. The pipe work has been done to take water to the farm gate for the farmers. There are ancillary infrastructures also that have been built, like the road network. Electricity has been taken there. And we built 113 housing units for families that were resettled. You may wish to note that the Musakashi Irrigation Scheme is on the banks of the Kafue River. So you have water that's flowing all year round, and we are building on that facility that's there, the natural phenomena for people to be able to produce all year round. Basically, I would say that's the summary about Musakashi Irrigation Scheme.
Now, this scheme has implemented smart and irrigated agriculture. How has it helped to achieve, all year round production in Zambia?
So, like I told you earlier on, water has been taken to the farm gate. And then the benefiting communities have been allocated pieces of land, ranging from 0.25 hectares to a whole hectare. And you may wish to note that when you are using land, the ratio in terms of the relationship between irrigated land and rain-fed land is 1:8. So if you've got 1 for irrigated land, it's you have to divide by 8 to get to the rain-fed one. So you benefit 8 times as much. So how have they benefited? As I'm talking to you right now, I wish you could go to site. They are producing all year round. They are able to feed their households. They are able to sell their crops and take their children to school. They are able to access medical facilities should there be challenges. These are communities initially that were just living without the opportunity of producing all year round. So you want cabbages, you want green maize, you want potatoes, anything you want, you will find in Musakashi.
Now let's talk about our women. How can agriculture play a role in adopting and implementing the smart and irrigated farming?
So a woman is very key. Key in that usually who sees to the well-being of the household in terms of what they eat, when they eat, and how they eat, it's a woman. And so they know the needs of the family, whether it's a young family or growing family, better than anyone else. So what role can they play and how can they be involved? I'll give an example of what we are doing under our schemes. We have made sure that both male-headed and female-headed households are equally embraced and given equal opportunities in the scheme. We've made sure that when it comes to the land, the irrigated land that they are being given, there is no segregation on whether a household is male-headed or female-headed. If inputs are being provided, there is no segregation as well. So what can they do? All that we need the women folk to do is to come up and be available, especially for projects like this one we are talking about. At national level, it's similar again, though I think we'll talk about that later in terms of equal opportunities for the women to be involved in the production cycle in the country.
Okay, so we remember we are investing in women and the girls. On the girls' part, how are we making sure that they benefit? That we inculcate this kind of knowledge in the girls?
Okay, so first and foremost, if I may just add a point I forgot to add, there's been a lot of capacity building to help them embrace this smart agriculture. If you do some reading about smart agriculture, you find it goes beyond irrigated agriculture to the use of maybe internet and different softwares to produce. And so we have to make a decision as a country to find a way of domesticating smart agriculture and embrace what applies to us. In this particular instance, it's the issue first and foremost of irrigation. You use irrigation to produce all year round. Secondly, we have what we call an integrated pest management plan. That is a plan that helps our farmer to know how to manage their pests in an environmental friendly way that will not destroy their soils and their crops. And then also we have a system where the clearing of crops, of trees is only being done where production is being done. So when we're doing capacity building, the women are also involved. Now you asked about girls. I would like to take it that these are young people. First and foremost, we don't give land for production to girls. We are encouraging families to let the girl child go to school so that they are empowered the way that their parents are being empowered at the moment as well. But however, if it's holiday time, you will find the young people participating in the fields and they are learning from their parents. You know, there is education you get in class and there is life's education at home and what you do with your parents. So by them working with their parents during holidays, they are also learning how they can make themselves better people, how they can contribute to development through climate smart agriculture.
And when we talk about barriers, what are some of the barriers that some of these women are facing when it comes to accessing the smart and irrigated agriculture techniques?
So there is, first and foremost, the aspect of education. Some of them are not very educated, and you know these days information is in the media. If someone can't read and write, it's difficult for them to access that. So that's one of the challenges. The second challenge that's common with women is segregation. You know, sometimes as a woman, you have to work many times hard for you to be recognized at the same level as your male counterparts. So the issue of segregation can be quite key as well. And sometimes they're easily intimidated. Sometimes the house chores at home keep them away from being out there to produce and be able to contribute like anyone else in the nation. So those are some of the barriers. And the other one that is key is land tenure, which I think the nation is working on. Sometimes as women, there is limited access to security of tenure. And by the way, the project has worked on this so that everyone will have an equal access. All the 3 sites are being titled under what we call a community land trust, where both men and women are equally represented. And then for the fields where they are producing from, they are being given land use certificates. So for instance, if you are given a piece of land to produce, you will be given a land use certificate that is yours and runs in parallel with the tenure for the title for the entire scheme.
Wow, so these challenges, how can these women overcome some of these challenges that they're finding in accessing the smart and irrigated techniques?
So there are two things here. There is what they can do and what the rest of us also can do to work in partnership with them so that they are exposed and they overcome these challenges. The first point is what we talked about earlier on. The girl child, go to school, learn in school, and also use your hands during the holidays to develop yourself. And then education never ends. So even if, well, no matter what the age you are, you can still go back to school and learn the basics. I actually have a friend who got married in grade 9. Then after the marriage didn't work, decades later, she went back to school. Right now, she's a teacher. So we have to get out as women. It's never too late for you to go back to school. You learn the basics of reading and writing so that you'll be exposed to the climate smart agriculture and other, how can I put it? And other provisions that can be there for you to make your life better and the life of your household better. So in as much as there is smart agriculture, there is climate smart agriculture, if the information does not come to you, there is no way you can implement it. So you have to get out there, form cooperatives, discuss with other women. The men are not our enemies, they are our partners in development. Let's learn from them as well. And then together we forge ahead the way it's happening in Musakashi right now.
Now, Mono, let's talk about some of the examples of smart farming technologies that, of course, women can adopt to enhance their productivity and their efficiency.
Okay, so the first part I talked about was irrigated agriculture. That one is climate smart because then you'll be able to produce all year round. The other aspect I would like to talk about, it's one thing to have water and another thing to use it efficiently and effectively. So it's important that we learn the kind of irrigation that you're supposed to adopt for a particular crop. For instance, are you going to choose to use a center pivot? Are you going to choose to use drip irrigation because that one makes sure the water is going on the plant and it lasts longer? And if you're going to use drip, in places where there is a lot of calcium, how are you going to manage that? So those are some of the means that can be used by the women and everyone else who wants to do climate smart agriculture. There is no one size fits all. It's different according to the type of crop. It's different according to the chemical and physical composition of the water you are using. There are all these dynamics that it's site specific as well. So we have to know where you are, what you want to do, and then it can be determined what can be done to make sure that you maximize production.
We take a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, just in case you just joined us, you are watching Investing in Women and Girls. This is a program that delves into the many success stories of our women in this country, in Zambia. Madam Mono, just give us examples of talking about, okay, let's talk about the IDSP and providing specific training or capacity building programs which are available for women in this country to learn about smart and irrigated agriculture.
Thank you. So we have various programs that have been undertaken and are still being undertaken, both on-site and off-site. You may be interested to know that we actually got the farmers before twice and flew them to Eswatini for them to learn there how their friends are dealing with community-based development in terms of irrigated agriculture. So we took them there and they were exposed to training, and we made sure that among us, the 15% that were picked, there were lady representatives, almost equal numbers. Then the other point is within the country, we've had situations where we get them from where they are, We've had trainings with them at Chaminuka. You take them to Chaminuka and you just train them. We've had trainings with them in Siavunga. We had trainings with them in Kitwe at the Garden Court.
Wow.
Then in addition to that, we've engaged the services of a training provider from South Africa who's gone now on site to work with them and help them not only have the theoretical but the practical knowledge of what it's like to undertake irrigated agriculture. But in addition to that, IDSP has members of staff. Amongst those that are there, we have an agribusiness specialist. So now and again we go to site, we go with them on the field, see what they are doing, and we help each other, both men and women, because we don't segregate. We promote women, we promote men as well, so that we are partners in development. In addition to that, you just mentioned earlier on, I'm the Senior Environmental and Social Safeguard Specialist for the project. So as we are developing, we have to make sure that we do not destroy the environment, because if we do, tomorrow there will be no water for us to do irrigated agriculture. So as we interact with them, we also share with them on how, in as much as you are producing, you are cultivating, you should be able to take care of the environment so that it takes care of you as well.
Are there any challenges that you have experienced as an irrigated scheme?
Yes, I think the first challenge was getting buy-in from them, because they felt there has been these experiences before around the country where a scheme is put up and nothing happens. So to get them to buy in and get them to know and believe that it can work was quite a challenge.
Wow.
But eventually they bought in, they've started applying themselves, and now, like I said, in Musakashi, they have started producing. The same applies to Mombochi and Lositu. So buy-in was the key thing. If people buy in, if the resources are available, you know, we have fresh water, we have good land, we have a relatively good climate. So all you need now are resources. The resources were available. Then we need a willing person to do it. And that's why I'm citing that as the main challenge. Now that they are willing, things are happening.
Away from the challenges, let us talk about the many success stories of the Zambian women who have embraced smart and irrigated agriculture. How has this seriously positively impacted their yields and their income?
You know, I really wish we were on site right now.
Wow.
Especially in Musakashi. And as you talk, names are coming to mind and faces are coming to mind regarding women who are involved in this and how transformed they've been. We have examples of ladies like Madam Namenda, Madam Lydia Hikembe, and many others in Musakashi who have gone flat out to produce. And I'll tell you how it's changed their lives. We have some now who have diversified. You know what they are doing? They've bought sewing machines. From the crop that they are selling, they've bought sewing machines, and they're now involved in tailoring. That is in addition to the fact that some women, all of the women are able to feed their families, because we have female-headed homes. They're able to feed their families. They are able to sell their crop and take their kids to school. One thing that I should have mentioned earlier on is that at these schemes, we did not only put up irrigation infrastructure and leave it there. We are connecting them to different service providers, people who can supply them with input, and people who can, off-takers, who can buy their crop. So I think I'll come later on, as you guide, on how best we can continue supporting not only these schemes, but other women also who may want to be involved in climate-smart agriculture.
Actually, that was going to be my next question, because I believe a success story is only a success story when we have a lot of our Zambian women engage a whole lot in the smart and irrigated agriculture. So how are you making sure that, you know, probably maybe in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, we have a whole lot of women benefiting from this?
So as a project, how are we making sure? Number one, at the sites where we're working from, I've shared with you what we are doing. Secondly, we are also working on documentation that can put agriculture in the limelight in our nation. I just mentioned that I think we've got most of the fresh water south of the equator. If you look at it like per country, what are we doing with that water? On average, we've got good soils and good land. We've got plenty of sunshine. So what is it that we are doing? So the documentation we are working on in form of an SPV, if it can be lifted up and spread the whole country so that around the country, irrigated agriculture can be used, not only to ensure that households are food secure, but also to ensure that from that people are able to sell their crop, sustain their homes, so as a nation we'll be food secure. And we can even start exporting and be able to get the much needed forex. And in addition to that, as not only at IDSP, I think I would like to look at this as a much bigger thing because it's way bigger than IDSP. We need to come together as a nation. Sometimes we have flash floods. What are we doing with that water that we are receiving? We've got a lot of rivers that are continuously running. I've told you that we've put up an irrigation scheme in Lusito. That's on the banks of the Zambezi River. We've put up a scheme in Musakashi. That's at the banks of Kafue River. What are we doing with the rivers that are running all year round? We've done a very big dam in Momboshi. So for those that are not running all year round, are we harvesting the water? Once we do that, then people will be able to have this water resource. Then we teach them and help them, help the mothers, help the girl child, help our male counterparts to be able to efficiently and effectively use that water for production. And you know what? With all honesty, I believe we can do it.
Wow.
I believe that should we have another drought in the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, we will just fold our arms, we will not panic because we will have harvested enough water and we will be able to produce, we will be food secure. We will actually help the nations around us.
Wow. Profound information there. I hope in the next coming years, this country will be able to harvest that water, to preserve that water so that we can avoid some of the challenges. Now, this year's theme for International Women's Day is Invest in Women and Girls, Accelerate Progress. Very powerful theme there. How do you interpret it?
So I would like to look at investment beyond finances. Investment is not just about money. It can be investment of ideas. So in addition to make sure that the girl child and women are empowered in terms of education, how I interpret the theme is a community where a woman or a girl's voice is heard and respected, where their contribution is embraced as equal partners for the development, sustainable development of a nation, be it economically or socially. That is how I interpret the theme. Because when you hear from a girl, you hear from a woman, you respect them, you let them contribute, then we'll have a nation. Just one more quick one. When you educate a woman, you educate the nation.
Whole world.
And
Nation.
that is how I'm interpreting the theme.
Wow. Wow. Now, as we come to the end of the program, what is your advice to women probably who would want to get into smart irrigated agriculture?
1, it's doable. 2, it requires commitment and hard work. 3, let's not be afraid to get out and do. And let's not look at the men as our competition, but we are counterparts. We work together in development. So the opportunities are as vast as our country is. Plenty of water, plenty of land, plenty of everything. Let's get out there and do it. Let's get information from those who have it so that what we do will be something that will be beneficial and productive.
Madam Mono Munkombwe, thank you so much for that information. Like I said earlier, profound, important, educating information. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of our program, Investing in Women and Girls. And in the studio today, we were talking to Madam Mono Munkombwe, who is the Irrigation Development Smart Support Project Senior Safeguard Specialist and Scheme Manager from Sakashi Irrigation Scheme in Mufulira. Join us next time on another exciting episode of Investing in Women and Girls. My name is Juliet Mtele saying bye-bye and God bless.